we're coming to a seat that is easy. And literally your seat in Sanskrit is asana, right? So all of our poses are asanas. And if you think about traditionally, the actual physical postures were designed to help you sit well. And so when we think about how we are in our postures and sitting well in each of them, or allowing ourselves to be in them in a way that is helpful, healthy, stable, then we create this place for ourselves that is structured well. So as you structure yourself well here, and this pose literally translates to easy seat, Sukhasana, then it's meant to be something that doesn't take much work. So adjust in such a way that maybe will help your body do less work. And then as you let your spine get long, and as you let your eyes close, take a deeper, longer breath. As your breath is a little bit longer and deeper, more full. This also is the time to allow yourself the information of what's going on inside. In this moment, notice if there are any places that are speaking up a lot. They're a place of a lot of sensation. Is there something that you need in this moment? And let's set an intention to take care of our needs. Take a full inhale in through the nose, long, slow exhale out of the nose. Then bring your hands to connect at heart center. And as you inhale and sweep your arms wide and up overhead, exhale, let your hands connect back at your heart and bow towards your heart. Then softly opening your eyes and releasing your hands down. And rolling back with your shoulders a couple of times as you start to lift up with your gaze. And then as your shoulder blades are on your back, start some movement with your head and your neck. We won't spend a ton of time here, but just a little bit of shaking of your head no. Nod your head yes. Ear to shoulder, ear to shoulder. And then as you come back into center, we'll walk hands out to your knees and do some start of that slow cat-cow movement. Inhaling, belly and heart tilt forward. Exhaling, press the spine back. A couple more deep breaths as you move. As you allow yourself the information. What is it that's showing up through your low back, through any part of your spine? Maybe through your hips here. Then inhale, sit tall. Let's go ahead and switch the cross, coming to that less comfortable cross for yourself, perhaps. And as you move your sitting bones, identify what it is that you need right now. How is it that your body needs to be situated for a little bit more ease? And now let's take left fingertips just a little diagonally back behind you, and then reach your right arm up and over your ear, up toward the ceiling. Press your left fingertips down and find more lift through your entire rib cage. Full big deep breath. And then inhale back upright. And right fingertips a little diagonally back behind your hip. And left arm reaches. Take a full deep inhale as you let your whole rib cage expand and lift. As you exhale, feel the connection, the rooting of your sitting bones and the ground. Inhale back upright. And then exhale, walk your way forward, coming into your forward fold at the front of your mat. As you find your forward fold, you can set elbows on props or hands on props, whatever it is that you need to do to make this more comfortable for yourself. Take a full couple of breaths. And then inhale, bring yourself back upright. And we'll shift onto our hands and knees. And from hands and knees, we'll do a couple of things. So if you would like to add a prop underneath your knees, you're welcome to. First thing, set yourself up, wrists under shoulders, knees under hips. As you move through your breath and move through your spine in your cat and cow, you're again noticing what's showing up. Maybe there's something slightly different being in a different position for your cat and cow. But inhale, sitting bones tilt up, open the heart. Exhale, spine lifts, rounding through the back of the heart. Full deep inhale, long, slow exhale. One more big breath right here. And then as you come back to a neutral place for your spine, we're going to start to move through our hips a little bit and get into some of the fascia of the low back that's related to maybe SI joint or even a little higher up perhaps. But from your hands and knees, you're lifting your right leg up and bending your knee, pressing your heel toward the ceiling. And then leveling with your hips, trying to let your right hip and left hip be at the same level. Just a little hard to tell sometimes, but the best you can. You're going to keep your hips level as you do some circles with your knee. Trying not to let your hips open up and close. But just let that movement happen from the hip socket, the thigh, the knee. And then switch directions with your circles. And then release your knee down. Inhale, lift your left leg, bend your knee, press your heel toward the ceiling. And once again, try to find that place where your hips are level. And then take those little circles in one direction, trying not to let your hips shift. And then switch to the other direction. And then release, left knee down. And now inhale, reach back with your right leg. And this time you're going to open up the whole hip. Turning open, your leg is long and straight. Press through your heel, lengthening the back of your leg. Press with both hands, make a little strength and expansion into the upper back. And then release, right knee back down. Inhale, stretch back with the left leg, turn open with your hip. And press through the heel, long and straight there through the back of your leg. Press through both hands, expand into your rib cage. And then release, left knee back down. And now we're going to step the right knee behind the left. And you're snugging your knees right up into each other, and then you're using your hands to help you work your hips back toward your heels. So you're coming into this cross-legged variation of child's pose. As you settle your hips back, find the distance back that works the best for you, and that might mean keeping hips a little bit higher here. But then work hands forward if that feels good. Maybe out to the right side. Take a full big breath and just notice around the left hip, the left low back, the left ribs. Take a deep breath. And then hands back to center, and you're shifting forward once again, uncrossing the legs. And now we'll cross left knee behind the right, snug them right up into each other, and then work hips back toward your heel. Again, I say towards because sometimes if hips are a little tighter, or if you have some restriction with the deep hip or knee flexion, then you might not go as far back. That's okay. Take a full big breath. And then you can allow your hands to walk further forward if that feels good, or maybe even out to the left side. And then bring that awareness to the right hip, right low back, right rib cage. And then bring your hands back into center, and you're shifting forward onto your hands and knees once again. And from here, find that rotation of elbow pits forward and push, strengthening and expanding into the upper back. Tuck toes and lift hips, coming into your downward facing dog pose. And then feel free to pedal out, bending one knee at a time, maybe letting your hips do a little bit of movement. Maybe you're finding some movement through low back, or a little twist through the ribs. And then tiptoe your way forward, coming into your forward fold. Use props to help yourself get there if you would like. As you find your way to your forward fold, feet inner hip distance apart or wider. Wider is a nice thing to do for yourself sometimes if you have some tight low back or hips. And now inhale, extend your heart forward, bringing your hands up to your knees. And then allow a little more bend to your knees. Your hips are getting just a little bit lower, and then sway hips side to side. As you sway side to side, you're trying to keep your shoulders pretty stationary. And then as you exhale and fold, you're letting the back of your neck get long. Take a deep breath. And then you're planting fingertips, stepping right foot back into your lunge. And let's come up high onto props. We'll first get nice and deep into the lunge where your front knee is moving more toward your toes. Wrap back with your left hip. And think of pushing through your heel on your back leg. So it's like your front knee and your back heel are moving in opposite directions. And then work your front leg toward straight as it can be without locking the knee joint. Big toe mound is pushing down as you wrap back with your left hip. Center sitting bones up. Inhale, bend into your front knee. And then you're walking your hands to the inside and pivot. Take a wide stance fold. Facing the right side, take a look at your feet. And allow pinky toe edges to become parallel to each other. And now as you center sitting bones up, keeping a little bit of bend to your knees, you can fold as deeply as your body needs. And even pedal out here. Bending one knee at a time, as you work toward sending sitting bones higher. And now back into center, you're inhaling and extending your heart. Exhaling, pivot toward the front of your mat, once again, turning on your feet. Inhale, step forward. Exhale, step left foot back into your lunge. And again, all of that can be done with props under your hands, but bend deeper into your front knee and reach through your back heel. And wrap back with your right hip, even as you keep your knee bent. Working into that deeper dorsiflexion, plus a reach through your heel, which is also giving you a dorsiflexion on your leg behind you. And now working front leg towards straight. We're coming up high on props, if that's there for you. And then wrap back with your right hip. Send your sitting bones up. As you extend your heart forward, take a full, big, deep breath. Just recognize any difference in tightness, different places where you feel sensation. What is it that you need in your body right now? Then inhale, bend into your front knee and pivot, taking that wide stance hold to the left side. And once again, you're finding pinky toe edges of your feet parallel to each other. A little softness to your knees, send your sitting bones up. And then as you fold this time, you can reach through your legs if you want to. You can take a hold of the outsides of your legs. You can keep hands or elbows on props. Find this variation of fold that works in your body, that feels the best to you. And take a deep breath. And now inhaling, extend your heart. Exhaling, walk your hands toward the front of your mat, pivoting on your feet. And now let's step back into a downward dog. And as you step back, find that strong push from your back muscles out through your hands. That rotation of elbow pits more forward. And then a tilt up with sitting bones. And now lower knees down, hips come back toward your heels. Find your child's pose. And as you come to your child's pose, you can let your head settle. You can let your arms be back alongside you or your hands out in front. Take a moment to notice your body, what it feels like, what you need in this moment. And then gently push yourself back upright to your seat. And we're coming all the way down onto sitting bones. And legs out in front of you. We're gonna first come to our staff pose with a little bit of work through our calves and just mobility through the ankles. And then we'll work it to a forward fold. So legs can be wider than hips, hip distance, or even more narrow. I like to have my feet about inner hip distance apart myself. But that's entirely up to you. And then give your feet a flex. Press down with your fingertips beside your hips and lift your heart up high. Think of tilting your belly more forward. And if it's better for you to have a blanket underneath your hips for that, then by all means, please do. And now we're gonna go flex and point a couple of times. And then circle in one direction. And then circle in the other direction. And then flex and point. And now stay in your point, and we'll do that stretch of the muscle that runs on either side of your calves down into your feet. So now as you turn open with your feet and knees, turning out, keeping that point, now think of the pinky toe edge of your foot and try to lift it toward your face. Take just a couple breaths here. Repoint your feet in this position. And then flex and point. And one more time, turn open, and then lift the pinky toe edge of the bottom of your foot up towards your face. And again, repoint your feet. You might find that one has more sensation than the other. And then flex, and then point. And then flex. Keep flexed, walk your feet in so that you have a decent bend to your knees. And then you're holding your knees here. And now tilt your belly forward, lift up through your heart. And from there, you're gonna hinge and fold, coming to wherever you need to be for your fold. So sometimes having hands right on the ground on either side of your legs is a nice place to be for yourself. Sometimes you're holding your toes. You get to decide. Then tilt your belly more forward and notice if you feel like walking your feet further forward, then maybe check and see if you can still tilt your belly forward. And then as you feel like you have more space, you might work your legs all the way toward straight. But again, check in with your low back. Find that tilt forward of the belly. Inhale, lengthen through your front. Exhale, hinge and fold. Inhale, work your way back upright. Bend your knees, and we're making our way all the way down onto our mats. Onto your back. And as you find that place for yourself, let hips, shoulders, and head settle for a moment with a full breath. And then we'll lift right knee in toward your chest. Extend your foot toward the ceiling. Clasp behind the back side of your right thigh and give a push of hamstrings into hands. Left leg can straighten if you would like. Then just take a moment to tilt your sitting bones down and take a big breath into your low back. And then just slightly take your leg across your body. Hip stays on the ground, but then you have that diagonal with your leg off to the left just a little bit. If your leg is passing the edge of your mat, then you've gone too far. So keep that grounding of the hip. I'm taking my right thumb into the hip crease and giving it a push. And that's both to help lengthen the right side, but also to help ground. And then come back to center, give your knee a bend, and squeeze it in toward your side as much as is right for you. And now, right foot to the ground, left knee in. And we're clasping behind the left thigh and pressing hamstrings into hands as you reach through the heel. Extend the right leg if you would like. You can always keep your knee bent. And as you tilt your sitting bones down, take a full deep breath, keeping feet flexed. And then just slightly take it across your body for that IT band stretch, where you can, if you'd like, use your thumb into your hip crease to help lengthen your left side, but also to root your hip into the ground. Full big deep inhales and exhales. And then bring it back to center, give your knee a bend, hug it in, and then set both feet on the ground. Drop your knees in together to touch and reach your arms overhead. Take a moment here to just move through the pelvis. You can do a little bit of pivoting or a little forward and back tilt. And then start to make your way into a resting pose that is supportive and helpful. Find your Shavasana. Bring awareness back to your breath. And gentle movement into fingers and toes. Bend your knees and roll over to your side. And then push yourself back upright to your seat. And with hands coming together at heart center, take another moment to lift up through your ribs, your collarbones. And as you exhale, bow towards your heart. Have a very peaceful, very beautiful rest of your day. Namaste.